So I had to run a wire yesterday for the VMware rack I'm building up. Just the one wire. That ran from where the modem is to where the rack is.
Yeah.
And in the process, it required that I wade through knee-high grass, lay on my back in dirt and mud next to an open sewer pipe, and crawl through a spider's web and almost get bitten by several redbacks.
That sounds like fun.
Welcome to GCP Life, episode number 56 for Friday, the 19th of January 2024. GCP Life is sponsored by Mantle Group. At Mantle Group, we make your Google Cloud solutions possible. And I'm your host, Stephen Bancroft. On today's show, we're back with a Happy New Year. Google cut some fees and is in hot water. The security breaches are flowing. What is going on with security in Australia? Plus, we take a look at the Google AI Summit. But before we get to any of that, I'd like to introduce the co-host of the show, Ian Brown. How are you, Ian?
I'm good, mate. How are you doing? Happy New Year.
Good. Yes, Happy New Year. Good to be back in the seat. Good to be back in the seat. I tell you what.
It is indeed. Good to be back. And I hear Mantle Group now. We're not Kasner anymore.
Mantle Group now, that's right. There is a bit of a rebranding going on, so to speak. For those of you that aren't in the know, all of the Mantle Group groups, so to speak, are now becoming one brand, simply Mantle Group.
Yeah, we're rolling all up into just one and going out as Mantle Group Cloud and Mantle Group Data, and there's like four different domains there.
More of a domain split, that's right, rather than a branded sort of split. Whereas before we had, Kasner, the Google Cloud. Help me out here, Ian.
Yeah, CMD does AWS. Azinex does Azure. Yeah, and then a whole heap of data and yeah.
And it just got confusing. Honestly, some of that data and AI, and I didn't even truly understand the separation there between some of them.
Well, there's so much overlap too, because there's lots of stuff that we do inside of Kasner that is data related and AI related and security related. And now we've got a security brand and we've got a whole heap of data brands. And so we're not just a cloud consultant where we do a lot of everything, but we only play in the Google space. So now they're sort of making it easier to cross domain.
Yeah, and there's definitely going to be some of us, probably myself included, that may be interested in branching out just a little bit in some of the other clouds and just looking at what there is. Because for me, it's that hybridness, right? That interconnectivity. Now, that's the area I like to play in, right?
Yep.
Where you've got big pipes and big infra connecting stuff together. That's the area I like to play with, and that's kind of what my pitch, my input to the Unix thing was, and that's the idea behind this whole VMware thing. But enough about me.
But I'm much the same. I've used AWS and Azure before in anger, and I've always gone back to Google Cloud because I find it the most intuitive. It's the easiest to understand what service goes where. It's not like AWS where you've got 62 trillion services that do the same thing. And Microsoft is the UI there is horrible, but they're very similar to Google in the way that they structure their services.
Yep. Just do it all in Terraform. You don't have to deal with the UI.
Yeah, well, that's true. You do have to use the UI for some things, though.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You got any other news? Anything else happened from the break?
Mate, when it comes to tech adventures, my entire holidays was a tech adventure.
Oh, really?
So my young fella got a whole heap of retro gaming systems for his birthday and Christmas, which are only like 6 days apart. And so we spent most of the holidays sort of setting them up and making sure things work and fixing things that don't work and all that. And then...
That's a labour of love.
That is 100% a labour of love. Yeah. And then earlier this year, not that you can get much earlier than this year, but earlier on in the year we upgraded his PC So he bought himself a case and a liquid cooler that goes on his existing machine, but because it was a proprietary mainboard in it, the cooler didn't fit because it's got a proprietary hole pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't make it janky and make it fit.
No. That cooler needs to go down on that CPU with the correct pressure as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So look, we just went out. I spoke to my wife, and I'm like, he spent all this money of his own. Let's just help him out a little bit and
supplement a little bit.
Yeah. So we did. We bought him a new main board, CPU, and memory. And he's got the full RGB-ness now.
These kids and their RGB.
Oh, it's RGB
My computer's down under the desk. I don't even see it. Why does it even need RGB?
Yeah. I'm very much the same. It's like if it's got flashing lights, it just distracts me and I don't want to see it.
Exactly. Even the Perspex sides on cases, I'm not really a fan of either.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's got a glass side on his case, and he's got RGB in the front of it. He's got RGB fans in the back of it, and he's got RGB RAM and RGB cooler, and it's like the whole thing just sort of, it does this rainbow effect where it sort of cycles through the colours. And it
it's
makes
a solid
me feel sick.
Yeah. Solid from me on that.
No, mate. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've been stuck into tech adventures as well. Setting up, I got a rack. I managed to score a half height, 100 mil deep rack. Rarest hen's teeth. Those things really difficult to find at a reasonable price. And started racking my old gear in there and setting up the new VMware lab in there. As you would have heard in the cold open, I had to run a cable from the current Wi-Fi modem across to there to make that set up the new core switch. It's all running at the moment where I would expect it. So next thing is some. I think I'll go with the TP-Link stuff.
Yep.
And set up some of those 635s and the TP-Link Armada Jetstream combo.
Yep, and run the Armada controller on your lab.
That's it. I'll run in the VMware. Yeah. Sorry, in the Proxmox machine. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Outside of that, I got a Pixel Pro 8.
Yeah, I saw this.
Pixel Pro 8. The purchase was approved because my daughter dropped her phone, and where she happened to drop it was right on the power button, so you couldn't switch it on or off, and it was just stuck in a cyclic reboot. I couldn't fix it. So I've kind of got this mantra these days: just don't bother with old tech. Just buy the new thing and then just cycle it through.
Yep.
So I bought myself a new phone and then shuffled all the other phones down. And look, I mean, I've had it less than a week. Can't really. I have noticed. I previously had a 2022 Pixel 7, not the Pro model, just this base model, and slight performance increase. It does detect the fingerprint reader much better than the 7 did, and the GUI is clearly snappier and sharper, and a lot of things happen much quicker in terms of that.
Yeah.
Some of the AI stuff, haven't got into that just yet, but I have noticed that the couple of videos I have recorded, the sound is significantly better.
Yeah, right. Okay.
They did market the sound as being something that was improved, and you can hear things a lot better on the sound.
Because they've got Gemini AI Lite built into the Pixel 8 Pros.
The model's in the phone, so I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen in the future and where that's going to go.
Yep.
It does have this best take thing, but I haven't sort of had an opportunity to get photos of the family yet and sort of use that. What else could I say about it? I mean, that's it at the moment. Like I said, I've only had it less than a week, so I haven't had much opportunity. I'm still going through and logging in passwords and finding. I went to use my credit card the other day. I went, okay, I got to set that up, and just to stand there look like an idiot, going, this is not working. Do the multi-factor. Now it's going.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll give you some more reports as I find features in the phone. I'll let you all know.
Sweet.
But I did get a little. Google sent me a little, when I bought it, a little pin and a little note saying, thanks for being amongst the first.
Oh, right.
For buying the phone. So that's nice. That'll go in my bag with all the other pins. Yeah. So yeah, that was that. But yeah, other than that, I'm still moving into the house here and still getting things set up. So yeah, it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah, I bet that that fireplace in behind you is going to get a bit of use in winter, I suspect.
Oh, I don't know. Central Coast is pretty good climate, so I don't know. Yeah, I actually want to pull that out. The computer keeps this room warm enough.
Yeah, that's like literally walking into my son's bedroom last night, and he had all the doors and windows open, and I opened his bedroom door as I walked in because he has it closed so that he doesn't disturb us because he screams his head off when he's playing games. And you walk in there and it's just like this wall of heat hits you. No, it's like 24 degrees down here. How is it 28 or 29 in your bedroom?
Cooking.
Yep. Yeah, literally. You look at the temperatures on his computer because one of the things he did was make the cooler change colour based on the heat.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's sort of
red.
Yeah, and so it was sort of sitting up around that orange, like orangey, sort of getting close towards red.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That reminds me, one of the features of this phone is it has a thermal sensor in it. So you can start up the thermometer app. Here we go. I'll just show you the thermometer app here, right? Right. And I can point it at something. Bang. And there you go. It's measured the temperature, 31.7.
Wow.
Right. And if I pointed at me. Oh, 30.8. That's a bit low.
Yeah. Maybe it's hit your glasses.
31.7. Yeah. So yeah, it works quite well. You can measure the temperature. I think it's this little white sensor on the back here. It's yeah.
Okay.
What is it? FLIR sensor?
Yeah, Flaw sensor. Yeah.
All right. Should we get on with the show?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. First item for the year is a little Chrissy present, I guess. Google says it'll stop charging fees to transfer data out of Google Cloud.
Yeah,
how's them apples? Yeah,
this is a so they got criticised basically from regulators about, and so did Amazon and Azure for that matter. They've all been criticised on how much it costs to change cloud providers, and so Google have instituted this thing where you can move BigQuery, Big Tables, Cloud SQL, Cloud Storage, Data Store, File Store, Spanner, Persistent Disk out of Google Cloud, but you've got to be approved first. So you've got to fill out a form, Google will come back and approve you, and then you have 60 days to move that out. Now, we had a chat about this the other day, and you think about the amount of data that we did on the UniSuper project. 60 days just ain't going to cut it.
Ain't going to cut it. No way.
So
it took 60 days. Two of the servers, it took 60 days for them to synchronize.
Yeah. And then, so what happens then is if you can't complete it within 60 days, then you have to submit a second request. And there's a big caveat in here, is only once an approved customer's data has been transferred out of Google Cloud and they've terminated their cloud written agreement, will the data transfer fee be waived, and that's via a credit on your bill.
A credit on your final bill?
Yep, on your final bill.
Right. And then if you're in the black at the end of that bill, they send you a check?
I'm assuming so.
I guess so.
Nullify everything? Who knows?
Nullify, yeah. All right, yeah, I guess it works.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing a big project, exiting project, you'd have an account manager or a CE or something involved anyway, so they'd be doing the request for you, you'd imagine.
It's interesting because this all came on the back of, in 2018, Google, so Cloudflare launched the Bandwidth Alliance in 2018, and Google is amongst the members. So it's Google, Alibaba, Microsoft, Oracle are all members, not AWS. But Google and AWS have been publicly criticised for their egress fees. So AWS came back and said, we don't charge separate fees for data switching to other providers, and then 90% of its customers pay nothing for data transfers, which I find unlikely.
How could they make that claim? 90% of its customers pay nothing for data transfers.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Maybe 90% of their customers that are exiting don't have large data sets.
Maybe they're under that 10 terabyte mark.
Yeah. So that's how they can make this audacious claim.
Yeah. But then, by that same token, Google can make the same claim.
All right. Well, I mean, look, it's good. It does sort of make things a bit sort of more even, I guess. And I mean, this was sort of pushed along by the EU, wasn't it? And the regulators there said, "Look, this is unfair. You're making it difficult to change competitors." That
sounds about right. I do remember reading something about the EU in this article. Yeah, so there you go. All public service providers operating in Europe might eventually be forced to stop charging for egress by the EU. Their recently enacted Data Act. Yeah. So would that be egress in the case of when you're exiting the cloud, or egress? Yeah, so it says the Data Act requires a gradual wind down of switching charges, including charges for data egress. Now, I don't know whether they're talking about switching charges as in switching packets or switching providers. So that's not clear. Including charges for data egress within the next 3 years, albeit with carve-outs for multi-cloud deals.
Right.
So who knows? Well,
who knows?
Only time will tell.
Yeah, that's right. Because that's a killer. That egress is a killer. You know, one thing I wanted to set up, I'd like to have, a server here and a WireGuard connection to a VM in Google Cloud, and then have that be my public IP rather than have my public IP back here on prem, right? But you're going to get killed with the egress charges, right? So, yeah, if the egress charges go away, that'd be nice.
Would be.
That'd be nice.
Be really good.
All right, remains to be seen.
Yep.
All right then, moving on. Google helps get Humboldt cable between Chile and Sydney off the ground. This is cool.
Yeah, this is a bit of a
really
first.
Cool. This is cool because up to now, there'd been no cable connection between Australia and South America.
That's right.
This is the first.
This is. And it's interesting. It's been a goal of OPT, which is the telecommunications provider over in Chile, for a number of years to have this cable in place. And Google have stepped in and said that they're going to support it.
So they're doing it in partnership with Vocus. I have a couple of friends that work at Vocus.
Okay.
I imagine they'll just be the articles I've read doesn't go into who's going to be. I guess Vocus will be operating it. That'd be my assumption.
Yep.
And Google will be its primary user. But sounds like they've done a lot of groundwork up front. Years of dedicated work.
Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing how much work goes in up front. It doesn't tell us the path of where this is going to go, although we know that telecoms of French Polynesia are involved, so it's probably going through some of those aisles.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
There you go. More bandwidths.
More bandwidths, yeah. Because if you look at the map at the moment, all the connections, obviously, there's a lot between US and Japan, and we have some directly to the US and then US and Europe, but... Yeah, so to get to South America, you've got to go all the way around the world.
Yeah.
That kind of doesn't make sense. Why not just have a one straight across?
Yeah, because most of our cables go from the eastern seaboard through Guam and then over to the west coast of the US, and then you've got to go down the west coast of the US into South America.
That's right. Yep. Cool. All right. Now, going from that to not so great, Google may face billions plus in damages from TPU patent spat.
Yeah. Look, this I had to read this article a few times just so that I could get it through my head what was actually going on. So Google's tensor processing units, the TPUs that power their AI, it is alleged that they have, we use the term stolen. Maybe the design of that from this academic researcher by the name of Joseph Bates, who started a company called Singular Computing. Yeah. So
now look, go on.
No, I was going to say, so this all happened. This dates back to 2019, so it's 4 years old already. When Singular filed a lawsuit in the Massachusetts federal court against Google. And he's alleging, this Bates character is alleging that that he has disclosed various technologies that he'd come up with to Google under an NDA on a number of occasions between 2010 and 2014. And during this time, he had made Google aware the technologies in question were patent protected. So he's essentially alleging that Google has stolen this tech. Of course, Google has repeatedly denied this because it would be stupid to admit that you have.
Of course.
But there's so a spokesman said Singular's patent claims are dubious and currently on appeal. They don't apply to our tensor processing units, which we developed independently over many years, and we look forward to settling the record straight in court. Now, it's interesting because they're not going to court yet about this particular claim. They're going to court this week, where Google will present arguments as to why Singular's patent should be considered invalid. And therefore, they'll have the entire court case thrown out.
Right, they're just going straight for the jugular.
Yep.
You know, this to me, this kind of thing sounds like a case of divergent evolution, right? It was a problem. So the problem specifically was an architectural design to execute a large number of low precision calculations each processor cycle. Yep. That's what they're arguing over. That was probably a design, a architecture. There was a need for that at the time, and it was independently developed by two separate groups at the same time. Happens all the time.
Yep.
And, maybe Singular's just got their nose out of the joint because Google was funded and better backed and sort of ran with it.
Yeah.
At more of a, just sort of ran with it better than Singular did.
Well, and that's it, because you've got to have a look at the evolution of RISC processors. So RISC processor, there are multiple RISC processors on the market that and have been over the last like 3 or 4 decades. That are all doing pretty much exactly the same thing.
Since the 80s. Yeah. RISC has been a big thing since the 80s.
Yeah, well, 4 decades. That's
yeah, that's right. Yeah. God, I'm not sure my age.
But yeah, you've just got to have a look at that technology. So RISC evolved in multiple different ways to become this architecture that now we use on our phones, and now we're using on PCs, and we use in the cloud, and it's a far better technology than a common or a complex instruction set.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense, right? Once again, the idea is just evolved independently. Less instructions, less power.
Yep.
That's good, right? Yeah. Exactly how you architect that. I mean, yeah, there are going to be differences there, right? And then at that level, how that's architected, you could show that there are blatant copies, but the idea is going to be there. It's like the idea of a fork, right? Like one manufacturer is not going to come along and say, oh, you copied my idea of a fork. No. It's a thing you stab into your meal to eat your food, right? The idea is good, but how you make the fork is slightly different. Yeah.
Yeah, look, this is going to be an interesting one to watch because Google's now in the 5th generation of their TPUs, and it's pushing the silicon as an alternative to GPUs for cloud-based AI training. So, look, they're really big in the Google ecosystem.
They're putting it in phones.
Well, that's right, because your Pixel 8's got the Tensor chip in it.
It does.
And things like Gmail and Google Maps and YouTube, they're all built using that technology. But yeah, old mate is he's looking for between 1.6 and 5.19 billion with a B in damages in the form of a lump sum payment, which
can't see it happening.
Yep.
Can't see it happening.
I can see Google.
Good luck with that one, buddy.
I can see Google dragging this out ad infinitum.
Once again, a solid nah.
Yep. Nah, bro.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's have a look at a new feature here that you brought to my attention, Ian. Custom tags in Cloud Deploy.
Or custom targets.
Oh, sorry. Custom targets in Cloud Deploy. I was about to say, I don't really know what's going on with this one, so you'll have to explain it to me.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So this is a pre-GA offering. So obviously there could be bugs in it and all the rest of it. It's like limited support type thing. But basically Cloud Deploy now can be targeted at a custom target as opposed to the predefined target. So the supported target types is finite, but with custom targets you can deploy to other systems besides the supported runtimes. So how do you do this? You create a custom target in your scaffold YAML, and you target you point to that target with your deployment YAML.
Right. So you can just run arbitrary commands doing this. Is that how it works?
Sort of, yeah. It's a way of targeting different systems, not just your standard, we're going to deploy to GKE or we're going to deploy to Cloud Run. No, now you can deploy to a whole heap of different stuff.
And where might we use this, do you think?
So some examples here are, and there's a Cloud Deploy samples repo on the page, on the overview page that we'll link in the show notes. Down the bottom of that, sort of a little next one up from what's next, you can see the custom target examples, but they list their GitOps, Vertex AI, Terraform, Infrastructure Manager, and Helm are the custom target examples.
Well, that's cool. Going to have to give this a little spin, I think.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
And have you upgraded to OpenTofu yet from Terraform?
I have not. I have not. Is that an upgrade or is it a side grade?
Well, it's sort of a pushing Terraform to the side and using the perfectly open-sourced Open Terraform,
right,
which was originally named OpenTF, but then I think HashiCorp might have got their knickers in a twist about it, and so it was renamed OpenTofu.
OpenTofu, right.
And so instead of typing Terraform and all the rest of the command, you just type tofu and then the rest of the command.
Right.
It is API compatible.
Right. And I bet in the marketing, the T and the F are capitalised.
No, actually they're not.
They've missed out on an opportunity there.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. Let's get on with some security items. Boy, oh boy.
Oh, mate. My inbox was just filled with breaches over the holidays. I'm like, oh no.
What is going on with breaches and security in Australia at the moment?
It's almost like we're asleep at the wheel to a degree.
Yeah.
We're literally just getting swatted by every single cyber security attacker out there.
Soft target.
Yep. Yeah, well, we said that last year. Like June last year, we went, I think we might be a bit of a soft target. And
been too lackluster and haven't
lackadaisical.
Lackadaisical, that's right.
Yeah, we're still in the opinion that, or of the opinion that we're the little fish in the big ocean.
Yeah.
And
just before we went to air, I got an email from have I been pwned?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been pwned. The latest breach, the NAS.API, 70 million stuffing creds.
Wow.
They're not just a rehash of the existing stuffing creds that are around. Troy Hunt there's an article I was reading of his, and he said that up to 33% of the credentials are unique.
Oh, wow.
So out of 70 million, it's significant.
Yep. That's huge.
Email addresses and password.
Yeah, that's not ideal at all. But yeah, look.
So yes, I mean that. So you'll be looking out for that one. So yeah, it's another one. But yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, a lot. And I was talking to friends the other day. They're getting a lot of phishing emails that are coming from the CEO of the company with a random email address, and I'm really surprised that we haven't found a way as email admins to thwart these. So I've embarked on
Oh, boy. I got one the other day, and, boy, it was good. It got through the Google. It was in my Gmail.
Yeah.
And it looked legit. It totally. And I had to double-check this thing and read about it. I didn't click anything on it. I had to read, and there were a couple of little giveaways in there. But if you weren't thinking about it, then you'd probably sucker for it.
Yeah, you'd click on it.
Mark that one as phishing straight away.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that we haven't, as a as a technology industry, come up with a way to go, right, in this company, here's the CEO of the company and here's that email address. And if we get an email that comes from someone that purports that says that they're in their shows, like in our instance, Simon Poulton, for instance, but then has some rando Gmail address or rando Hotmail address attached to it, that we just ditch that.
Is that not what happens now?
No, that's not what happens now. No, you've got to manually set that up if you want to do it, and you've got to go to the person. It's a very manual sort of like radio. What are all the email addresses that you're likely to send to our staff from?
It does seem like something has been missed. You're right.
Yep. Well, I've got a little side project.
Yeah, nice. Anyway, let's get on with these breaches. We'll kick off with Yakult.
Yep.
Yakult breached. I made a little short list here. 95 gig of data leaked by a mob called Dragon Force.
That's it. This one happened it was reported on the 28th of December. Apparently it had been the week before that it happened. So that's one. And they're working with the Australian and New Zealand cybersecurity centres and the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner and the Privacy Commissioner in New Zealand. Obviously, they're a multinational.
Yep.
But yeah.
Eagers Automotive, IT breach that affected new vehicle sales.
Yep, they claim, and again, we've heard this so many times before, it's not funny, but based on investigations to date, and I'm quoting this, the automotive retailer said in a statement, based on investigations to date, the company is in the process of notifying a small number of individuals identified who may face serious risk of data misuse.
Nothing to see here.
Everything's fine. We'll just sweep this one under the carpet.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out for them. Who else we got? St. Vincent's Health.
Yeah, St. Vincent's Health Australia. This was a big one.
What drew my attention to this one is it will take some time to investigate. Playing that card.
It always does. But yeah, this one is that they have exfiltrated quite a bit of data, and they're trying to work out what data exactly has been removed, and they claim is a complex and highly technical activity. Sounds to me like they probably don't have the right security tooling in their environment.
Yep. And this is an interesting sort of sign of the times, because everyone's watching the tennis now, right? Watching the Australian Open, right? Basically, it's the Djokovic show, but Cyber CX. Right, so one of these cyber groups, obviously, they're going to be I assume they're a competitor to Cyber and Mantle. They're advertising like crazy on there, and it's just, I've only mentioned it because St. Vincent's Health has engaged Cyber CX to do their investigation.
Yeah, I tend not to. I listen to the tennis. I don't so much watch it.
Oh yeah, boy. You want to sit and watch the tennis with me one day as an experience.
Oh, no, it's hard enough with my wife sitting there, and the minute the game is over, she changes the channel to a different tennis match because she cannot stand listening to any of the talking heads interviewing this poor tennis player that's been slogging his butt out on court for 4 hours.
Yeah. Some of them are cringe. Yeah. Moving on, hackers hit Victoria's court recording database. So in this one, some court recordings were stolen.
Yeah, so they say the Court Services Victoria CEO, Louise Anderson, has said the potential access is confined to recordings stored on the network. No other court systems or records, including employee or financial data, were accessed. Not sure what they want court recordings for. I'm sure there's an exploit there somewhere. Maybe detecting who the criminals are.
Yeah, maybe to get some inside information on a case, or sell the information to someone that's requested it. Sort of underworld stuff going on, right?
Yep. But it's interesting they didn't reveal if they'd had ransomware demands for it or anything like that. And there's no hack group that has stood up and said, yeah, that was us. So I wonder whether maybe this is potentially a state-based attack.
Or, yeah, maybe. Or I'm kind of thinking, like I mentioned, maybe an underworld thing, right? Where some kingpin said, look, there's a court case going on. I could be implicated. I need someone to get in there and get the recordings. Here's, $100,000, $1 million, whatever. Go and get it for me. Yeah. I'll pay for the data. Yeah, and then they got the inside information.
Yep.
That's kind of where I'm thinking that's going.
Yeah.
It may not be anyone in Australia. It probably isn't, right? It's still foreign actors.
Oh, yeah.
Could be funded by someone in Australia.
Oh, definitely. It's one of the bits that sort of caught my attention in this article was the claim here that, and I'll read the paragraph verbatim because it's, state-sponsored cyber groups and hackers have stepped up their assault on Australia's critical infrastructure, businesses and homes, a government report released in November 2023 showed. Evidently, that's not verbatim. With one attack happening every 6 minutes. That's an awful frequent attack rate. And quite possibly a little bit scary.
But they'd be at all levels, right? Yeah. I mean, there'd be, some... It doesn't say whether they're successful attacks.
No.
Thing, right?
But so, I mean, at least there's an attack. Let's call it an attempted attack every 6 minutes of the day. You've got
on something.
You got 10 every hour. That's a fairly frequent occurrence. It's not this customer's been attacked 4 times in the last 12 months. It's there is
everybody.
Yeah, it's targeting everybody.
This is probably a global phenomena. I mean, we're just seeing it from the Australian point of view, but if there are attackers attacking Australia at that rate, you betcha they're attacking other countries at the same
100%,
rate as well.
Yeah.
Right? We're all using the same devices. We're all using the same edge nodes and the same Google Clouds and the same AWSs.
Yeah, it's just something that's happening.
They've added everywhere, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, let's... and I suppose that sort of leads into the next story, which is all about an attack on a very prominent organisation.
Yes, Google owns cybersecurity firm Mandiant targeted an X account takeover.
Yeah.
And guess what they did with it? They used it to sell crypto scams.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. But so they actually had the Mandiant lost control of the X account, and here's the kicker, which had 2-factor authentication enabled.
Yeah.
How did they get in? Because now you've got to have the username, the password, and the 2FA device.
Right. What mechanisms can you use on X for 2FA?
SMS, from what I understand, and like your Authy and Google Authenticator type things.
Right.
So let's assume then that it's using, or maybe it's gone in through a backdoor. Maybe it's gone in through something like the Bitwarden breach.
Right. So I'm just having a quick look here on the X because I really use Twitter. But SMS is the primary MFA. Now, we know that's susceptible, right? You can fake and swap SIMs, right? So potentially, if you wanted to get into something, you can do that.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's better than nothing, right?
Well, that's right.
That's the idea behind it. I mean, if they were using email for 2FA, you could imagine how they could get access to an email box. But something like Google Authenticator would be a bit more challenging.
It would be. But, I mean, you can do... So one of the things that I do is put the 2FA into Bitwarden, which I know is probably not a great idea, but my wife needs access to them too. And so username, password, and our authenticator codes are all in there. So if you can backdoor into that, which there was a breach late last year that showed that you could, it's plausible that you could get the 2FA code out of that and log straight in.
Yeah, and like it's a Twitter account, right? So who really cares? Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have the same level of security on a Twitter account as you would on your core switches and your core infrastructure, right?
No. But yeah, so that's the Mandiant X takeover.
Mandiant X takeover. All right. And then moving on with some more Google security news. Google says it fixed a significant security flaw. Google Cloud has patched a vulnerability that may have allowed malicious actors with access to Kubernetes clusters to elevate their privileges and wreak havoc.
Yeah. This one's a big one because it's an attacker who compromised the Fluent BitLogger container could combine the access with high privileges required by Anthos Service Mesh on clusters that have it enabled to escalate privileges within the cluster. So for those who don't know, if you're on a pod in a cluster and you can get access with privileged account to the cluster itself, you can get onto any other pod in the cluster. So that's a big one.
We don't want that.
No, definitely not.
No. I'll link the article in the show note. It tells you which versions of GKE the fixes are available for.
Mm-hmm.
All right, should we get on with the AI wars?
Let's do it, AI wars.
Just the one article for the AI wars this week. We went looking for AI stories and there's not much. It's a bit quiet.
It's all quiet. AI's gone on holidays. Their extended holiday break for AI because
AI never sleeps.
It did its work last year. They don't need any more time.
That's it. So we'll link this article in the show notes. The Google Cloud Applied AI Summit. Now, the link you gave me, Ian, was the 14th of December. So that one's passed.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, when I go to watch one of those, it says the registration's closed. But I was given another link by a good friend of the show, Trent, and he said, "Look, you want to try this out?" And it's the APAC Applied ML Summit, which is a tangential to it, and you can go and register for that one now. Google Cloud AI Applied Summit, which is for APAC, which is happening on the 25th of January.
Yep.
AEDT. So it's Australia friendly time. I've registered for that. This is the one I will link in the show notes. What do we got happening there? We've got the Google Cloud Toolkit for Gen AI, build LLM powered apps with embedding, vector search, and RAG. I'm trying to sound like I know what I'm talking about here. Model evaluation with the LLM ops era. Looks like some good stuff there. Look, I might try and capture one or two of those.
Customizing and deploying Llama 2 on Vertex AI.
There you go.
We like the llamas.
There you go. Yeah, we've talked all about that on the show. Prompt management for production generative AI applications. Interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool looking talks and sessions that you can go to on this. I was looking at the US one, but I haven't actually watched any of them. I suffered the same problem you did.
But yeah, if you get along to that now, you can register and then you can watch the show, watch the recordings as they come out later.
Sweet.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for this week.
Yeah.
Kicking off the new year. It's been fun.
It has been.
Good to get back into it again. Yeah. I've got to switch the brain into gear. It's not really into
it's not quite firing yet.
Work gear yet. No, it is not at all.
I've spent my entire day bashing through Docker file builds for complex Docker containers, and so I'm just getting it. It's like switching gears into this, and I'm like, brain's not functioning.
Yeah. It's a matter of just getting back into the rhythm of it now.
Yep.
But don't worry, we'll be here. We'll be punching out our fortnightly shows for you guys to enjoy. And while you're at it, don't forget to go to iTunes and write the show a review. It would really help the show out. You can contact the show, gcplive@kasna.com.au. That's the email address for now. You can still find us at the old website. And, of course, don't forget today's sponsor is Mantle Group.
Yeah.
At Mantle Group, we make your Google Clouds and other cloud solutions possible. That's about it for me. Anything else from you, Ian?
No, mate. Back to Docker containers after this, buddy.
back to Docker. I might get back to that rack and throw in a couple more wires and stuff.
Yeah, nice.
All right, mate. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye.
Bye.
So my 3 switches are called core, store, and chore. Right, so obviously the core switch has got the main stuff hanging off it.
Yep.
And then the storage switch is the one that connects to the stand. That's like the jumbo frame switch. And then the chore switch, well, that's the Wi-Fi switch, because if you don't do your chores, the Wi-Fi gets switched off.
I love it. That's gold.
Yeah.